G'day and welcome to the National Virtual Expo and to this session on Macquarie University. I'm your host Rob Malicki and I'm coming to you today from Garigal land in Sydney. I pay my respects to the traditional custodians of this land. Before I get started, I just want to let you know what's coming up in the next 20 minutes or so. But firstly, hello if you're joining me live and you're here and you're watching. You can ask any questions that you've got in the chat, so whether you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or on the session hub, make sure you ask any questions you've got. We'll either try to get to them during this session or we will answer them on the Choosing Your Uni Discord at the end of the session. So links to the Discord is down below, as is a link to the Facebook community for parents. So ask your questions away, whether it's specifically about Macquarie or whether it's more generally about going to uni and studying. So in this session, we're going to be talking about what Macquarie Uni is known for, who would be well suited to studying there. We're going to hear a little bit about what students say about studying at Macquarie, and we're going to look at the different academic strengths and the different research strengths as well. And finally, we're going to be diving into the data about Macquarie University, how it ranks. We're going to be looking at student satisfaction, and I'm going to be really straight with you about what those numbers actually mean. Because, you know, rankings, ratings, you're always going to see the glossiest headline numbers from a particular institution. So I'll take you kind of behind the curtain to understand what that all means. And finally, of course, I'll actually tell you which institutions I would actively consider Macquarie University against if I were making the choice myself. Before we kick off, this whole virtual expo has been made possible from our presenting partner, Southern Cross University. So a quick word from them, and then we're going to get straight into this session.
One day soon, I'm going to be the boss.
And I'm going to teach and empower the next generation.
One day soon, I'll use science to save the planet.
And one day soon, I'll save lives.
Right now, I'm ready to take the first step.
No matter what your goal, choose a pathway at Southern Cross University to transform your future.
Macquarie University has its own metro station right on campus. You tap on at whatever your origin station is. It might be in the centre of the city or way out west, and you ride straight into Macquarie and tap off at your lecture. In a city where your commute can literally eat your life, this isn't a minor detail. It literally changes how you experience uni every single day. But here's the thing, Macquarie probably isn't for you if you're looking for a really small, intimate campus where everybody knows your name. There are 44,000 students at Macquarie, and it's pretty big. It's a distinctive institution in the sense it's got this one main campus. It's also probably not for you if you're absolutely set on going to a group of 8 university. That's one of the research-intensive, prestigious institutions like Sydney, UNSW, Uni of Melbourne. Macquarie isn't in that group, but it does sit just outside, which is a position that actually tells you something interesting, and we're going to get to that. It also probably isn't for you if you're looking for a campus that's like right in the heart of the city, like an RMIT in Melbourne or a UTS in Sydney. Macquarie Park is located 16 kilometres northwest of the city centre. It's suburban, it's green, and it's quiet in a way that the inner city isn't. However, as I just mentioned at the start, that metro gets you right from suburban Macquarie into the heart of the city in just like 20 or 25 minutes. So maybe it could be the best of both worlds for some students. Before we go on, what I'd like to do is to share a student experience with you. So let's hear from a student who's actually studied at Macquarie University. Is there anything that you feel people need to know about, specifically about this place?
About
now
Macquarie.
You've been here for a few years,
Yeah.
you know it.
Oh, I don't know. Like there's lots has been said about Macquarie. I think it's fantastic, and it's given me the skills to take me on the next step in my journey to enter the career, feeling prepared and everything. And I think, as I said, meeting some of those like closest friends in like the best place, going to lots of great parties, lots of great functions and everything, and just having a great time while being able to balance, social life, sport and like physical activity, but then also study. It's been great.
Awesome, mate. Right, well, let's talk about three things that I think define Macquarie University. And the first thing is location. It's not just a postcode, it's an academic strategy. Macquarie Park isn't just a suburb. It's what they call an innovation district, and it's one of Sydney's biggest clusters of tech companies, financial services, media organisations, and health employers. The university didn't end up there by accident. Its campus is surrounded by the kinds of organisations that hire graduates. And that proximity feeds into things like internships, research partnerships, and the kind of casual networking that happens when your campus shares a neighbourhood with major employers. The university has had a strategy over many decades to bring major organisations on campus. And we've seen that with many organisations now being based on the fringes of Macquarie's campus. The second thing I think stands out is the PACE program. PACE stands for the Professional and Community Engagement, and it's baked into a huge number of Macquarie degrees. It means that as part of your degree, you do genuine work placements, community projects, or industry partnerships. Now, this isn't just like a token week of observation. It's structured, it's assessed, it's credit bearing, and the experience is in real workplaces or community organisations. So if you're someone that does better learns better by doing rather than just sitting in lectures, this is one of the stronger work integrated learning models in Sydney. Now, if that model appeals to you, I think it's also worth checking out Southern Cross Uni's block model session, which is a completely different take on how to solve the same problem, how to make learning real. And you find that description down below as run on the first day of the Expo. The third thing that I think that stands out at Macquarie is the health and hearing precinct. Macquarie has something that almost no other Australian university has, and that's a private teaching hospital on campus. The Macquarie University Hospital sits right alongside the Australian Hearing Hub and the Next Sense Centre for Innovation. So if you're interested in health, in hearing sciences, speech pathology, cognitive science, or biomed research, this cluster of facilities gives you clinical exposure and research access from early in your degree. It's unusual, and it's a genuine differentiator for students in those disciplines. Now, one thing I want to be upfront about, Macquarie is a commuter campus for a lot of its students. There is on-campus housing, and residential life is growing, but the reality is that many students drive or take the metro to go to classes, and then they head home. Now, that's not a criticism, it's just the nature of a large suburban campus in Sydney. So if you want the full residential college, living on campus experience, there are some options at Macquarie, but you might want to be thinking about which other institutions might tick that box better. And there are some institutions I'll just give up straight up front: the Australian National University in Canberra, the University of New England in Armidale are a couple of the options that have really strong on-campus accommodation options. One of the sessions running as part of this virtual expo that I think all students who are domestic, you're a local student, need to watch is the Australian government session that ran on day one of the expo. You'll find that in the session description. And we talk all about HECS and how that sort of technical side of going to uni works. We talk about the different sort of support payments that are available too. There's also a great session from the National Student Ombudsman about your protections when you study at university, so when you're a student. So that's definitely worth checking out as well. Let's jump now into the academic and research strengths of Macquarie University. And it's structured around 4 faculties. We've got arts, we've got medicine, health and human sciences, there's science and engineering, and then there's the Macquarie Business School. So it's a really broad spread, and it supports one of Macquarie's real strengths, which is a large portfolio of double degrees that allows you to combine fields in ways that many universities can't match. So let's talk about where Macquarie genuinely excels, and then maybe also about where some of those double degree areas might be as well. Okay, business and finance. These are long-standing academic strengths of the institution. The Macquarie Business School has really strong industry connections, partly because of that, where it sits, geographically amongst that sort of business park, surrounded by corporate headquarters. But then we've also got areas like accounting, applied finance and economics that have been flagship areas for decades. And they continue to attract high enrolments and super strong employer recognition. If you're interested in things like applied finance and actuarial studies, these are some of the strongest programs in Australia. We've heard a little bit earlier about hearing about speech pathology and cognitive sciences, and these are areas where Macquarie has a national and international reputation that punches well above what you would expect. The Australian Hearing Hub brings together researchers, clinicians and industry partners in one facility. So if you're interested in audiology, speech pathology or linguistics, this is arguably one of the strongest environments in the entire country. Now, related to those is cognitive science research, essentially understanding how the brain processes language and sound. Macquarie is incredibly strong in the cognitive sciences, and this feeds into programs across health and science. Law at Macquarie has a growing profile, especially with the recent opening of the Michael Kirby building, named after the former High Court Justice. It's the new home of Macquarie Law School and provides modern teaching and collaboration spaces. The law school is newer than those at the Group of 8 universities, but it's building a reputation. And honestly, having been there just recently, the facilities for law students are absolutely first rate. Science and engineering at Macquarie actually divide 2 different worlds. Science goes way back to the beginning of the institution. Engineering is a relatively recent addition, but both benefit from specialised research infrastructure. The Australian Astronomical Optics Macquarie is a hub for astronomical instrumentation, and they basically help build the technology that goes into some of the world's most powerful telescopes. So if you're interested in space, in physics and optical science, then this is one of the few places in Australia doing this kind of work. There's also a planned RNA research and pilot manufacturing facility under construction on campus that's going to focus on RNA therapeutics and biomanufacturing. Now, this is the technology that basically saved the world from COVID becoming much, much worse than it already was. This kind of cutting-edge biomedical manufacturing became globally significant during the pandemic. And it's really interesting to know that Macquarie is diving into that space and putting the stamp and wanting to make that a focus area, because RNA is fascinating when it comes to biology and health and that kind of technology going forward. Education and social inclusion are also areas where Macquarie does significant outreach work, particularly in widening participation for students from underrepresented backgrounds. Their equity scholarship program is really quite substantial. Now, you heard me mention the PACE program earlier that runs across all 4 faculties. So regardless of whether you're studying arts or business or science or health, there's a pathway to get you real professional experience as part of your degree. It's not universal. At some universities, work placements are concentrated in a few professional degrees and everyone else misses out. So Macquarie has got a very substantial footprint in that space. One last thing about research. Macquarie's research income has been growing consistently. It was reached $170 million of research income in 2023. And the institution's been very strategic about concentrating its efforts in the priority areas rather than trying to be everything to everyone. That's a really smart approach for a university that's not in the group of 8, but definitely wants to compete with them on some specific fronts. Let's hear from another student about their experience studying at Macquarie University, and then we'll come back to talk about things like rankings and ratings.
Firstly, tell me a little bit what it's like, the atmosphere here on campus.
Oh, electric. I mean, we've got such beautiful weather today, so a fantastic day to be exploring the 126 hectares of our campus, so it's certainly a ways to get around. And there's just so much to do and so much to see, so what are you most looking forward to?
Food. That's my favorite part about campus. We have so many amazing restaurants around, food court. It is electric, especially when I have food in my stomach after class. That's the best part, I would say. But it's also so good to see so many new students or potential students around campus today, the biggest day of the year for Macquarie Uni. And it's so fun because we have so many activities lined up as well, and we're working, and we get to see a lot of smiles on faces. So yeah.
All right, let's talk about the rankings and ratings. This first set of numbers comes from the Quality Indicators for Learning and Teaching, the QUILT dataset. It's an Australian government dataset which basically comes from surveying hundreds of thousands of students as well as thousands of graduate employers. It's run by the government, so it's an independent dataset, so you can really trust this data. In fact, there's a whole session about QUILT and the compared website. You'll find that in the session description down below. So let's go through some of these numbers. We'll go through QUILT as well as a couple of the global rankings. Student satisfaction. At Macquarie, student satisfaction sits at 76.4% on the most recent Student Experience Survey, part of the QUILT data. It's a little bit below the national average for the sector, so it's not terrible, but it's not outstanding. This is maybe not surprising. For a large university with a big commuter population, this is a pretty typical result. Student satisfaction tends to be highest at smaller universities and campuses, or more residential campuses where that sense of community is much stronger. It's not something to panic about, but it's just something to be aware of. Teaching quality is similar. Macquarie delivers solid, structured teaching, but the sheer scale of the place means your experience can vary depending on the faculty, the unit, and the lecturer. This is true of every large university. And if you want to dive into the details of that, you can actually do that both on the compared website or by jumping on the Choosing Your Uni platform and investigating those. Graduate employment is at 78.7%. What that means is 78.7% of graduates are in full-time work within 4 months of completing their degree. That's roughly in line with the middle of the sector. So it's not as high as the regional universities where local workforce demand really gets students and graduates straight into jobs. Charles Sturt Uni, for example, sits above 91% of students. But for a large metropolitan university, it's fine. Macquarie is basically holding its own. The same can be said of the graduate starting salaries. At $70,000, Macquarie is competitive. It's sitting right on the national average and even slightly ahead of some of the other comparable Sydney universities. I think that Macquarie Park location and the placements are probably contributors. Graduates from fields like business, health, and IT are stepping into roles in the precinct that they've already been working in. Looking at the global rankings, Macquarie is 138th in the world on the QS ranking, making it 11th in Australia. And on the Times Higher Ed ranking, it's 166th globally, which is equal 10th in Australia. That puts it firmly in the top tier of Australian universities, right on the heels of the Group of 8 institution. Now, these global rankings tend to measure things, or tends to add weights to things like academic research output. So the big academically focused, research-focused institutions in the Group of 8 tend to perform better. How much that academic research is cited, how much it's looked at by other researchers, international reputation. These are things that those rankings tend to measure. And they do tend to favour larger, more established institutions, older institutions. Macquarie's actual teaching and graduate experience is arguably stronger than those ranking positions, which are very good anyway, but stronger than those rankings actually suggest. Once again, if you want to compare all your options, the Choosing Your Uni platform is free, takes 30 seconds to sign up, and we're using the latest generation of AI tech to help you identify the fields of studies and universities that really align with you, not just going to Google, punching in a search and seeing who's spending the most money on marketing. Let's finish up by talking about comparable institutions. For me, the first comparison is the University of New South Wales. It's a Group of 8 institution. It's ranked in the global top 20 on QS, and it carries more prestige on paper. But UNSW is also in Kensington, so it's more inner city, it's denser, it's maybe a bit more intense, the entry scores are higher, and the campus experience is quite different. If you're a strong student, weighing prestige against environment and employability programs, then this is something that you need, a comparison that you probably need to make. UNSW does very well on employability, very strong for entrepreneurship programs as well. If you're interested in starting your own business or being part of a really dynamic, innovative business, I reckon UNSW is worth a look, and you can check out the deep dive via the session catalogue down below. Another common choice is looking at UTS. UTS shares Macquarie DNAs in some way. Both are younger than the Group of 8 universities, both have very strong industry linkages, and both emphasise practical, career-connected learning. Of course, big difference is that UTS is right in the heart of the city, or right, actually fringe of the city, and that gives the campus a completely different feel. It actually ranks slightly above Macquarie on QS, inside the top 100 at 96th globally. But if you want that same applied career-first approach, but you prefer a city centre location, UTS is the obvious comparison. It's also being located so close to Central Station means that for some students, getting there is going to be easier than getting to Macquarie, even though Macquarie has the driverless metro, which is super fast and covers a significant portion of the city. Let me throw you a curveball, because I like to do that. And this is particularly relevant for students who might be moving away for uni or might be coming from overseas. And I'd look at an institution like Deakin University down in Melbourne. Deakin, obviously in Melbourne, but it occupies a sort of similar position in the market. It's just outside the Group of 8. It's strong on student satisfaction at 81%. It's big on employability and work integrated learning. And it's building its research strengths strategically. It's outside the centre of Melbourne as well, so it shares that kind of suburban environment, I should say. So if you're open to Melbourne and you're the kind of student that values a university focused on your experience rather than just prestige, Deakin, I think, is worth a look. Once again, all of the questions and comments that you might have, make sure that you drop them in the chat and we will try to get them. We've got a couple of minutes for questions, and I think I've got some that have been asked in advance. I do. Macquarie University, here we go, one that's come in advance from Jade. Macquarie has its own train station and a big shopping centre right there. Does it actually feel like a campus or more like a business park? I can talk to this personally because like the campus has changed a lot, and the whole area has had this like massive glow up in recent years. The new campus heart at the centre of Macquarie, with its central courtyard and its library and its student spaces, genuinely feel like a dynamic modern university. Even the shopping centre and the train like got a major facelift. It's not like it used to be when I went to uni at Macquarie many years ago, and having the metro there has really like jazzed up the entire area. So I really feel that Macquarie, if you're looking for the quintessential on-campus university experience, in Sydney, it's one of the strongest offerings because it is that central campus. And it has this vibe throughout the day, which is just absolutely awesome. Another question came in, this one actually from a parent. Is it better for my daughter to do a double degree or just focus on one degree and do it really well? You know, double degrees can be brilliant if the two areas complement one another. So something like law or international studies or IT and business. But if it's just about hedging bets, then maybe you're better off just doing one degree and trying to get great marks and loading up on something else like work experience instead. So I wouldn't be doing a double degree just for the sake of it, if it means like extra years of study and extra HECS. Now that said, if there are two areas that you or your child are really interested in, like really interested in, keen on pursuing, double degree that has two very different subject areas could actually be an advantage in that space. And I'll give you a personal example. When I went through university, I did a science degree. I ended up becoming interested in bird biology. There you go. I was working in one of the biology labs on campus and we did some work on birds. But I was also studying some music at the same time. And in fact, I discovered that there was this world out there in airports where they were trying to use sound to discourage birds from being at the airport. You can imagine when a bird goes through a plane engine, it does $1 million worth of damage. So airports are pretty keen to get rid of the birds off the airport. And one key way that they were doing it at the time was through sound, through audio means. And so if I'd chosen to pursue that, having a double degree in biology and stuff related to audio production could have been an asset for me to get into that really niche area. You know why I loved it? Because I was thinking to myself, hey, wow, this is a chance for me to literally get to travel around the world, to go and visit different airports, to keep my toe in the camp of biology, but also still being able to do my music stuff over on the side. And that can really be the magic of having two different double degree topics. If you think about it, when you walk out of uni, if you've got a degree, a science degree, you're the same as 1,000 other graduates, thousands of other graduates. If you've got a double degree, you're a little bit more unique. If you've got a double degree in two very different areas, you're more unique again. And the other differentiator is all the other stuff that you put around your university experience. Did you do the PACE program? Did you get industry experience? Did you do a study abroad and exchange program? Did you get involved in clubs and societies? Did you do leadership? Did you go and do entrepreneurship programs? All of the extra stuff that you put around your studies is as important on a resume when it comes to what happens afterwards. And it's bloody good fun too. So get involved. That's all we've got time for in this session. Any questions that have come through there, we'll make sure we answer those in the Choosing Your Uni Discord and in the parent Facebook group. It's been lovely talking to you about Macquarie Uni, a place very close to my heart because that's where I did my degree some years ago. My name's Rob Malicki and I'll see you later in the National Virtual Expo. Have yourself a great afternoon. Great day. Well, I hope you got something out of this session. And if you have any questions at all, you can head to choosingyouruni.com and ask Lumen. Lumen is your AI guide who knows about every university, every pathway, every option that we've talked about throughout this virtual expo. And Lumen is available to talk to you 24/7, so it's ready when you are.